In the 2013-14 school year, nearly 70,000 students were arrested and over 200,000 were referred to police.
It starts with, a misrecognition of student behavior and using a kind of a criminal lens to address behavior that used to result in some other kind of school-based sanction.
This misunderstanding could be attributed to a change in scenery and staffing.
There were, metal detectors and checkpoints, built at many schools. So the process of entering the school began to look a lot like the process of entering a prison. And then, of course, more police officers were hired to staff the schools. And their main tool for dealing with problems is arrest.
A lot of students come to school with issues already from home.
The kids come to school with a lot of exposure to trauma. They've seen violence in the streets. They've had, a lot of exposure to things like, grinding poverty, death and sickness of people they love.
Which could have an effect on their behavior at school.
When kids are acting out, a lot of times it's because they're bringing trauma with them from home.
Even still, most behavioral issues remain to be typical adolescent behavior.
A large percentage of the kids are sitting in custody right now across the state in placement because of misdemeanor offenses. You look down at the data, and a good portion of those kids, almost 600 of them, are being arrested for fights. Most people, if they hear that, it would be shocked. Like, you would have thought the kid who was out there stabbing and shooting or robbing, but no, it is the kid who may have had low-level offenses who are being sent to placement. I mean, you suspend a kid from school, and then he returns to school the next day, and we're charging him with trespassing. I mean, can you imagine that?
These charges could have lasting impacts on their lives.
So their offense is done, but now they can't get out of the probation, or they can't get out from under the supervision of the system, is because they can't afford the $300 costs it costs to pay for his fines and fees, and so he or she stays on probation for years. So if you were wealthy and you got $300, you could pay to go to a class on a Saturday and get your record expunged. Many of them were unable to do that, so they were tried in abstention, right? And so they may be found guilty in that abstention, and then it may not bother them. They may not have any other contact with the system, but guess what? When they go to apply for a job, what pops up? This offense.
Maybe they enter the juvenile justice system, going away to what they call a residential facility, which is a nice way of saying they're incarcerated for 9 months, 12 months, 15 months. And so this starts to kick off a cycle for them that just compounds and compounds. What researchers have shown is that an arrest during these early years has lifetime consequences. So it reduces your chances of being employed, it reduces your lifetime earnings, and it reduces your likelihood of ever getting married.
There are ways that these kids can be helped. One of them is diversion.
I can change the trajectory of a youth by putting them into a different system, and that is just life, right? And letting them learn and letting them grow and let the brain begin to grow and develop. And so they understand the consequences of their action and they can step to the next level. And so if we can keep them out of the system, keep them from being labeled, keep them from getting a photo number, get them through school and get them at least get their diploma, even if they get a GED, the majority of them will go on to be successful.
Policies should be to divert kids from formal processing wherever possible. If there's any possible way of addressing the problem without allowing them to start accumulating a record, then that's the way we should go.